The room was still frozen. Layla stood tall, her heart racing as everyone stared in disbelief. Her husband's face twisted into confusion, then fury. Her siblings looked embarrassed. The business partners slowly backed away, realizing the cameras were still rolling. No one said a word except Layla. She turned to them all and said, "Now I know the truth. I needed to see your hearts. And you showed me everything." Her voice was calm, but every word cut like a blade. Then she did something no one expected. She picked up the remote and turned on the giant screen in the living room. Hidden camera footage began to play. Ayula laughing over her casket, Chitty fighting over the Rolls Royce, Ngozi claiming houses in Cape Town. The partners celebrating the division of her company like vultures. Shame flooded the room. Her husband stepped forward, his hands clenched. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You think you're clever? You ruined everything." His voice was trembling, not with regret, but with rage. She looked at him, eyes steady. "No, you ruined everything when you gave up on love the moment you saw money." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. That was the last time she ever saw him. Her siblings tried to laugh it off, calling it a test, a prank, a misunderstanding. But she wasn't moved. Layla pulled out a brand new will and handed it to her lawyer, who had been silently watching from the corner. "I'm changing everything," she said. "None of them deserve a single coin." That same week she transferred every asset, every home, every car, every share, into a foundation named after her parents. A charity that would help children who had no one to love them. Just like she once had before she built her empire alone. She moved out of the mansion and into a quiet, peaceful home near her childhood village. No cameras. No staff. Just her and her parents. But the story didn't end there. Weeks later, Ayula returned. Not with an apology, but with a lawsuit. He claimed Layla had manipulated him, tricked him emotionally, and violated their marriage contract. He wanted half of everything, even though he had already shown he loved none of it. The court was flooded with media attention. Layla stood there in silence, while her lawyer played the same footage for the judge. The ruling was swift. The judge looked Ayula dead in the eye and said, "You don't want justice. You want revenge." Case dismissed. Ayula walked out of that courtroom with nothing but shame. And Layla? She walked out with something far more valuable than all the luxury in the world. Peace. Today she still runs her foundation. She still visits her parents every Sunday. She no longer needs to prove her strength, her peace is proof enough. Layla had finally found peace. After the courtroom drama, after the betrayal, after all the lies had been exposed on camera, the world now knew the truth. Her greedy husband? Gone and forgotten. Her selfish siblings? Shamed and silent. The empire she built? Now turned into something better. A foundation helping children in need. Kids who, like her, once had nothing. She had turned her pain into purpose. Every evening, Layla sat alone in her quiet home tucked away in a calm, tree-lined neighborhood of the city. No servants, no luxury, just peace. But that night, something felt different. The gentle patter of rain on the roof. The sky was thick with soft clouds. She sat near the fireplace, flipping through old photo albums. Photos of her as a child, smiling with her parents, before money ever changed her life. Then it came. Knock. 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 Slow. Soft. But firm. She froze. No one ever visited this far out. She opened the door, and time seemed to stop. Standing in the rain was Ngozi, her sister. She looked nothing like the woman who once wore gold bracelets and expensive perfume. Now she was soaked, barefoot, eyes red and swollen. Her hands shook as she held a dripping handbag. "Layla," she whispered. Layla didn't move. Ngozi stepped forward, voice cracked and weak. "I didn't come for money. I didn't come to explain. I came because I have nothing left. Nothing but shame." So Layla said nothing. Inside the house, by the fire, Ngozi spoke between quiet sobs. "I thought money made me better. I thought I deserved what you had. I was wrong. I laughed at your fake funeral. I celebrated your death. No. I have lost everything." She looked up, eyes full of pain. "My husband left me. My business collapsed. People have turned away. And I miss my sister." Layla's eyes softened just a little. She stood and walked to a drawer. From it she pulled a sealed envelope. "I wrote this before I faked my death," she said gently. For you. Just in case. Ngozi's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was one line. If you ever choose love over pride, I will open the door. Ngozi broke down. Layla stood, walked over and placed a warm blanket on her shoulders. You can stay the night. Tomorrow we'll talk. But know this. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It just gives us a chance to move forward. The fire crackled. The rain slowed. For the first time in years, Layla and Ngozi sat in silence, together. But peace didn't last. Outside, behind a row of bushes, someone was watching. It was Ayula, her ex-husband. He hadn't disappeared after the trial like everyone thought. He had been quietly looking for something, a file from Layla's teenage years. Something personal, something from the past even Ngozi didn't know. He folded the papers carefully, eyes fixed on the house. If I can't have her money, he muttered, I'll challenge her story instead. Inside, Layla stood at the window, unaware of the eyes watching her. Unaware that the past was about to knock again. The morning sun poured gently through the tall windows of Layla's quiet home. The rain was gone and the city was alive again. Calm birdsong outside, soft hums of distant traffic. It was a new day. Layla sat at the breakfast table, a simple cup of tea in her hands. Across from her, Ngozi, in fresh clothes Layla had laid out, stared into her own cup in silence. I slept for the first time in months, Ngozi said, her voice still raw. I didn't know silence could feel this safe. Layla gave a small nod. Peace is a discipline. I fought hard to earn it. Ngozi reached out and placed her hand on Layla's. And I'll fight to protect it now, even from myself. That was when the doorbell rang. They both looked up. It wasn't a knock. It was a sharp, confident ding, the kind that didn't ask for permission. Layla opened the door slowly. There stood a well-dressed courier, holding a cream-colored envelope. For Ms. Layla, he said. Delivered this morning to our central office. No return address. He signed for it. Ngozi's shoulders tensed as she watched her sister tear the envelope open. Inside was a single sheet. Typed, anonymous. People don't know the real story behind her first millions. But I do. And I'm ready to speak. There was also a scanned copy of an old file, faded but legible. It was a school report from nearly 20 years ago. A minor disciplinary warning. A silly teenage mistake from when Layla was 16. Ngozi's voice cracked. Is this? Layla's eyes didn't blink. Yes. The past Ayula is chasing. Ngozi looked outraged. But this is nothing. He wants to shame you over this. Layla sighed. He doesn't want to shame me. He wants to rewrite the version of me the world now admires. Because he lost control. For a moment the room was still. Then Layla stood calm as ever. Let him speak. Ngozi looked confused. What? If he wants to bring up the girl I used to be, Layla said, walking toward her office, I'll introduce the woman I've become. She made a call. Her foundation's media team answered. Good morning, Layla, the young assistant chirped. We're just finalizing edits on your anniversary campaign. Add a new clip, Layla interrupted softly. Record this. And there, without a script, without makeup or retakes, Layla spoke to the world from her living room. I wasn't born perfect. I've made mistakes. I've failed. I've fallen. But I never stayed down. If anyone wants to know who I used to be, I will tell them. Because the most powerful thing I ever built wasn't a company. It was myself. The video went viral within hours. Celebrities reposted it. Parents played it for their daughters. Schools quoted it in morning assemblies. Even tabloids that once tried to dig up dirt had to admit they'd never seen a woman so unshakable. Ayula watched from a distance. His plan to embarrass her had backfired. The world didn't cancel Layla. It crowned her. He crumpled the last copy of the secret file and tossed it into a trash can, realizing too late. Some people rise from ashes. But Layla? She had learned to bloom in fire. Back at home, Ngozi opened the front door to find flowers on the step. No note, no name. Just one word written on the card. Respected. She carried them inside and placed them on the table. Layla smiled faintly, not asking who sent them. Some things don't need to be spoken. Because real peace doesn't defend itself. It simply keeps growing. The morning turned into afternoon. Layla spent it responding to emails from her foundation team and checking donation reports. The video she had recorded had already sparked new interest. More funding, more volunteers, more children reached. But it wasn't just about charity anymore. It was about telling the truth, before anyone else could twist it. Ngozi, now dressed in a sky-blue blouse and denim skirt, her scarf tied neatly around her puffed bun, sat by the window journaling. Her healing had begun, quietly, slowly, like a sunrise no one claps for but everyone feels. By sunset, the sisters were walking through a nearby park, a simple ritual Layla had adopted during her years of solitude. No security, no cameras, just clean air, the scent of earth after rain, and the freedom of being unknown in a crowd. As they walked, Layla spoke. I always believed if I became perfect they couldn't touch me. No weakness, no gaps. But now, I'm done hiding cracks. Ngozi smiled, gently looping her arm around her sisters. The cracks are where the light gets in. They both chuckled. But as they turned toward home, Layla's phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. She read it silently. Her face froze. Ngozi noticed. What is it? Layla turned the screen to her. The message read. The file Ayula had. It was only part of the story. Ask him about what happened in Enugu. Ask him why he never returned the journal. A friend. Ngozi's eyebrows furrowed. Enugu? Your hometown. Layla nodded slowly. I haven't been back since I was 17. She tapped a few keys trying to trace the number, but it had already disappeared. Back at home they sat in silence, staring at the flickering fire again. Ngozi whispered, What journal? Layla's voice was soft. There was a diary I kept as a teenager. I left it behind the night I ran. Ngozi's eyes widened. Ayula had it all along. Layla didn't answer. Instead she stood, walked to the bookshelf in her study and pulled down a thin, dusty address book. She flipped through pages until she found it, an old contact. She hesitated, then dialed. It rang twice before a woman's voice answered. Hello. Auntie Chinyu? Layla asked. It's Layla. There was a long pause. Then a deep inhale. Oh child. I was wondering when you'd call. Layla swallowed. I need to come to Enugu. Another pause. Then a whisper. Then you better come quick. The line went dead. Ngozi stared at her sister. Layla, what's in Enugu? Layla turned, her face unreadable. Not what, she said. Who? And outside, just down the street, a man in a charcoal trench coat and watching the light go out in Layla's window. In his hand, a tattered leather journal, marked with Layla's name, and a page dog-eared with a single date. August 9, 2006, the day everything changed. Layla didn't say much on the flight. She sat by the window, one hand gently curled around a warm cup of tea, the other holding a worn notebook where she scribbled thoughts she didn't dare speak aloud. Ngozi sat beside her, quiet too, only breaking the silence once to ask, Are you sure about this? Layla didn't look up. No. But it's time. When they landed, the heat wrapped around them like an old memory. Humid, heavy, familiar. They took a cab from the airport. As they drove past yellow buses, laughing schoolchildren and roadside vendors shouting prices over smoky grills, Ngozi leaned toward the window, watching everything with wide eyes. This place, she whispered. It's like the past is still alive here. Layla gave a small nod. It is. Just buried. The driver dropped them near a quiet corner where the streets got narrower, where the city's noise faded under chirping birds and rustling leaves. Auntie Chinyu's house looked the same. Peach-colored walls, faded blue gate, and the smell of fried okra drifting from the backyard. The old woman stood at the door already, arms folded, a small frown tugging at her lips. But when she saw Layla, the frown cracked just a little. You're taller than I remember, Auntie said. Layla managed a small smile. You're exactly the same. Inside the house was cool and quiet. Familiar photos hung on the walls. Baby Layla in her mother's arms, a school award in a broken frame, one picture of Layla and Ayula at 15, both beaming, unaware of the years ahead. They sat around a small dining table, sipping zobo in silence. Where's the journal? Layla asked gently. Auntie Chinyu sighed. That boy came back for it years ago. Said you asked him to keep it safe. Ngozi sat up. You mean Ayula? Auntie nodded. He stayed here for one night. Said he was doing something important. Took the journal and left before sunrise. Never came back. Layla's throat tightened. Did he read it? I don't know. But he looked shaken. Like it reminded him of something he wanted to forget. Later that evening, Layla and Ngozi walked down a path behind the house. It led to a clearing, overgrown now but still holding the shape of old secrets. This was where Layla used to come as a girl, to write, to dream, to escape. Whatever's in that journal, Ngozi said softly, you're not that girl anymore. Layla looked up at the sky. The stars were just beginning to show. I know, she said. But maybe someone still needs her story. Back in the city, in a dark apartment filled with silent shadows, Ayula sat alone. In front of him was the journal. He opened to the dog-eared page. August 9, 2006. His hand trembled as he read the words written in teenage handwriting. I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. And now I can't unsee it. I'm scared. If anything happens to me, I hope someone finds this. He closed the book slowly. And picked up his phone. He dialed. One ring. Then a voice answered. You're late, the voice said coldly. Ayula didn't respond. He just whispered, they're back in town. Silence. Then the voice said, then you know what you have to do. The call ended. Ayula sat there still holding the journal, torn between burying the truth forever, or finally letting it breathe. That night Layla couldn't sleep. She lay on the mattress in Auntie Chinyu's guest room, staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to the distant sound of a generator humming and dogs barking in the far-off dark. Beside her, Ngozi had drifted off, curled up like a question mark, her breathing soft and steady. But Layla's thoughts were loud. Ayula had the journal. And if he still had it, he still had her truth. Her pain. Her secret. She sat up quietly, pulling on a long wrapper and tiptoeing to the backyard. The cool night air met her face, and for a moment she just stood there, under the same stars that had watched her grow up, feeling smaller than she had in years. She heard footsteps behind her. You okay? It was Auntie Chinyu, her gray scarf tied loosely over her braided bun. Layla didn't answer right away. Then she said, I keep thinking, what if I hadn't written it down? What if that night never happened? Auntie came closer, arms folded against the breeze. Then you'd still be running. But the truth, it waits. It never forgets. Layla turned to her, eyes tired. Did you ever ask him why he came for it? Why he took the journal? Auntie Chinyu sighed. No. But I knew he wasn't sleeping the night he stayed here. I heard him pacing, talking to himself, like someone being haunted. Layla's voice was barely above a whisper. He should be. The next morning they took a Kiki into town. Layla wore a soft orange blouse and high-waisted jeans, her hair wrapped in a navy blue scarf that framed her face. Ngozi had on her favorite mustard dress, her hair in a single braid that ran down her back. The city was wide awake. Bus horns blaring, women clapping as they bargained for tomatoes, loudspeakers preaching at street corners. They found the old cafe where Layla and Ayula used to meet after school. The same peeling chairs. The same faded sign, dreams and tea. Layla's hands shook as she stirred her cup. If he still has the journal, that means he hasn't destroyed it. Which means, Ngozi said, he hasn't decided yet. Layla nodded slowly. But someone else has. What do you mean? Layla lowered her voice. He made a call last night. I know him. If he's scared, he'll go back to them. The people who gave him everything. The same ones who took my voice. Ngozi stared at her. Then we need to move first. Layla looked up sharply. You mean, find him? Yes. Talk to him. Before they get to him first. In a dusty apartment on the other side of town, Ayula sat with his phone beside him and the journal still open. The page from August 9th stared back at him like an old wound. He had read it 3 times now. He remembered that day. The footsteps. The yelling. The look on his mother's face before she pushed Layla into that taxi. He remembered the envelope too, the one his uncle had handed him a week later. Don't ask questions. Just follow the plan. He had followed it. All the way to law school. All the way to a new life. But now the old one was back. His phone buzzed again. Same number. He didn't answer. Instead, he grabbed the journal and stuffed it into a worn leather satchel. He needed to get rid of it. Or maybe he needed to give it back. He stepped outside into the morning sun, locking the door behind him. He didn't see the black car parked across the street, or the man in sunglasses watching him from the driver's seat. Back at the cafe, Layla's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. A deep voice. Calm. Controlled. You've stirred a lot of dust, Layla. Her heart stopped. Who is this? You already know. What do you want? To remind you that the past is dangerous. Some stories should stay buried. She swallowed hard. That's not your decision. The voice chuckled softly. No. But it could become your consequence. The call ended. Layla sat frozen. Ngozi leaned in. What did they say? Layla blinked once. We need to find Ayoola. Today. Where do we start? She took a deep breath. His old flat. If he hasn't moved, that's where he'll go to think. In the shadows of a city that never stopped moving, 3 paths were beginning to cross again. One driven by guilt, one by truth, and one by fear. Whatever happened next, it would no longer be about the past. It would be about what came after the silence broke. They found Ayoola at dusk. He was sitting on the steps of his old flat, the same satchel by his side, his shirt rumpled, his eyes sunken from sleeplessness. Layla and Ngozi stepped out of the car. Layla stepped close, her heart thudding. He looked up slowly. When their eyes met, neither of them spoke at first. Then Ayoola stood. I knew you'd come, he said, voice hoarse. Layla's gaze didn't waver. Do you still have it? He nodded, pulling the journal from his bag. I read it. All of it. He held it out, but she didn't take it. You already had the truth, she said. What I need now is your voice. He looked down at the journal, the worn leather shaking slightly in his hands. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't know what they'd do. No, she whispered. You were protecting yourself. He winced. I wrote it all down, she continued. The night your uncle showed me those papers. The deal. The bribe. The way your mother screamed at me to keep quiet. Her voice cracked. I wrote how you watched them push me into that taxi, and did nothing. He sat down, overwhelmed. Ngozi stepped forward, fierce. You owe her the truth, Ayoola. To her face. To the world. There was a long silence. Then quietly he said, I'll testify. Layla blinked. What? I'll go to the press. Give them the documents. The journal. Everything. I'll tell them what I saw. Tears filled her eyes. It wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about being heard. She reached out and took the journal. But this time not to hide it. To share it. A month later. The news broke like thunder. Prominent lawyer whistleblows on family's political scandal. Young woman's journal exposes hidden truth. Voices silenced. Now heard. Layla sat on a morning talk show set, the journal in her lap, her scarf tied in that familiar navy blue. I never wanted revenge, she said softly. I just wanted to stop being afraid of my own voice. Ngozi squeezed her hand from the side. Ayoola sat in the front row. Silent. Supportive. Ashamed but present. As the credits rolled on her first televised interview, Layla looked straight into the camera. To every girl who was ever told to forget, to hide, to survive quietly, this story is for you. She smiled faintly. I didn't win because I fought louder. I won because I never stopped telling the truth. Even when no one was listening. Thank you for watching this story till the end. If it moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment, tell us how it made you feel, and subscribe for more emotional stories that speak from the soul. And remember, your story is your power. Don't ever let them take your voice. Yellow Heart.